Start here first off in regards to having it today, Wednesday. I'm going to continue to do this just so we're clear the rest of the season. I think it's good that setting the tone for the week. I don't know if y'all like it or not, but I think it's good, so we'll keep it that way. That's why we're here today. As far as a QB update, I'm going to hit on a few things here. We expect both Andy and Justin out at practice in some capacity today, and we'll update you their status based on their participation as we go from there. In regards to the depth chart with them, I'm sure that question will come. Andy's the 1, Justin's the 2, and Nick as the 3. Starter will be sorted out once we have a clearer picture moving forward here. So we'll know more, and we'll clear that up. Other injury updates right now, we don't have any with in regards to Goldman, Mack, Andy, and Gip. We'll get you that after practice. Trevathan, good news is he'll be back. He's going to start his 3-week window to return from IR. So that's good. And then no update in regards to Borum and Jenkins. So just to kind of touch on some of the injury stuff, and obviously I know you guys will have questions with the quarterback, so I wanted to hit that from the front end. So with that, I'll open up.
You talked about making changes. Did you decide who's going to be the play caller on Sunday?
So what we've done is we've, I think probably the best part of the last 48 to 72 hours is we've had some amazing, healthy conversations between coaches and coaches, between coaches and players, players and players, players and coaches. That's what I appreciate the most. And so without getting into specifics of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it with not just that stuff, but other topics, I'm going to keep that internal. And I think that's the best part right now for us is the fact that, and that's what I've found going through this, is there's a few things that you learn through people, is you learn having raw, honest conversations is healthy, it's good. It enables you to realize, why things happened. And I think, too, it's also really good from a coaching perspective to have the talks and communication, open communication with the players. And so you take what they give you and you use it. And that's really what I'm going to do. It's what we're going to do. It's what they're going to do. And week 3 right now, being 1 and 2 and having a loss that stings like that, sometimes it just recalibrates you and it makes you refocus on certain things and in a good way. And I think the players understand from my perspective where I come from and how real I am, how hard I am on not just them but myself. And that I'm about solutions, man. I am not about negativity. I am not about anything but trying to do what's best for the Bears at anything. You know what I mean? And so I'd be sitting here lying to y'all if I said it's been easy. Darn right it has not been easy. It's been hard. But when I signed up for this job, I knew there was going to be times that I go through this kind of stuff. And now I'm getting tested to see where I'm at with this. And I know in the core of who I am, and I know in the core of who our players are, and I know what we're about. And when you see the people that come to bat for you behind the scenes, that's to me what gets you through this kind of stuff, And so again, like that's what gets you going, and that kind of helps you go as you have those other conversations and you accept it and you move on, and that's what I'm about. The criticism's fair. I go back to again to the game. And again, the more you're in it, the more you see it. You got to move on, but you also got to accept it. That's what I'm going to do moving forward.
When you decided to make Bill the play caller last year, you were straightforward about that with us. You said he's a play caller. I know you still had your hand in it, but there was that delineation. Why do it that way last year and not that way this year, if there is a change?
Again, just all of that without, I hope you all can understand, like from our perspective, from the Chicago Bears perspective, but not just play calling, but whether the starter, non-starter, this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt through the rules, like all of that, there's communication that you have on the back end, but then there's also the ability for us to understand why we don't get into some of the answers that you're asking me right now. That said, whatever is best for this team is what we're going to do. And every year is probably a little bit different with how you do it. And I think, Jason, right, you brought it up a few weeks ago about some of the play calling stuff. And there's probably a lot of stuff that goes on in the NFL with play calling that a lot of us don't know. You know what I mean? And we think we do, myself included. with other coaches that we don't know. And that's okay, you know? So, but all that aside, it's about clear communication on why. And that's what we're going to do. And now we get an opportunity to do it against a division opponent, which we've been focusing on the last 2 days, at home. And these are big now. We got to get these. And so when we do that, whatever it is, let's go do it.
Can you explain why on the quarterback?
As far as what this,
As far as, it sounds like what you're saying, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that they're both going to practice, and Dalton's your number one, so if Dalton's healthy, then he's your starter Sunday.
so as far as the depth chart, that has not changed. As far as injuries, we're still working through that. And that's where, for us, you know, get to a point too for us, where we gotta know exactly where they're at. And that's the whole timing element of, you know, these next couple of days. So that's only real. And now, for us, you know, we just got to make sure that, you know, however that goes, it's the best thing for the Bears. And when you start getting injuries into it, you bring injuries into it, it makes it more difficult.
But with,
Do you factor into all that, I mean, the best thing for the Bears long-term is Justin Fields'
Yeah.
development. To leave him, to sit with that game instead of bringing him back for another week to see if he can improve upon that.
More than fair question, and I would say with that, like, you go back and you see that game that we just went through with Justin, a starter, and I told you, like, I thought Justin did a good job in many ways, like just keeping composed in that environment. There's things that I'm not going to get into in front of everybody as to why, even as we've had more and more conversations, not just with coaches, but players too. It's great. It's good to hear some of the feedback that you get. And so I think some of that will help regardless of who the starter is, you know, and but to say, hey, for Justin, he had that game, like he's going to have a lot of different games in his career. And that one was a rough one. And I put that on me. That's on me for why that went that way. And I got to learn from that. And we got to learn from that. But I think we have some answers, which is good.
well, with the question at quarterback, Matt, how can you come up with the solutions to make sure the offense is more productive?
Well, that's where you rely on your coaching staff. That's where you rely on your players with those conversations that we have. When you go through a bad, ugly game like that, there's a lot of emotions that come into play. There's a lot of opinions that come into play. And that's only fair. You have to be able to accept that. You got to be able to have tough conversations. And I feel like that's one of my strengths, is to have a tough conversation individually, one-on-one, sometimes with a group, but also too to be able to talk to the guys and see, like, hey man, what's the deal? And when you do that, there gives you a sense of calm and understanding that you're coming up with answers. Now, you still need to fix it. You still need to go out and produce the next week. And there is a lot of, you know, there is a lot of stuff that we need to correct. But when you have those conversations, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to be able to trust each other. And that's the other part of this thing too, is that trust factor, is, you know, building relationships, having healthy conversations. Will help you when you get to practice this week, will help you when you get to game day. And now you got to go do it. And then when you win and you are productive and you put that game away, you grow from that. And you say, damn it, I look back week 3, that game that happened, there's a reason why that happened, and it's made us better. Not just me, not just a player, but it's made us better. And it happened in week 3 and not 14.
There was more to sift through following Sunday's game in Cleveland than your normal game, and you talked about the communication and all that you've gone through since then.
Yeah.
Did all of that take a little bit away from being able to turn the page and get to week 4 and the Lions?
No, it wasn't so much. It was the time that we had together did not take away, because it was efficient. You know, it was productive. It wasn't something where you're in there for hours and hours having some conversation and trying to figure. No, it was to the point, and it was again, I don't know how to. I keep saying healthy, but it was real. It was authentic. It was needed. And if you don't do that, it doesn't matter what you're doing for Detroit, in my opinion. You need to get that part right. And so we did it efficiently, and a lot of it too was, you know, there was some scripted as to what needed to be done, and sometimes it's just, hey man, let's talk, or hey, all of us, let's get together. And that's just, I think sometimes those are the best ones.
Is it possible that there'll be personnel changes, like do something differently on the offensive line? Is that something?
Again, that would fall into the play call and stuff. I'm just, what I can say to answer that is that we've gotten together and talked about the whys of why everything happened and the belief that we have in these players and where they're at. I just think that we feel pretty good right now with that. And we understand, like, hey, listen, here's the deal. Here's how we get better, and we can help you with it.
Matt, going back to Jason's question, do you worry at all, though, about Justin having to sort of sit with that performance for a number of weeks, however many weeks, maybe until he gets back out there if Andy's healthy?
No, because the career he's about to have and where he's going to be, I don't worry about that. He understands when he's a part of those conversations and he hears, where things are and all that. I think for him, he gets to see, like, hey, when you play against the defense of that nature with those athletic guys there on the edge and the scheme that they have and who they are, it's a good football team. And I gave credit to them. I think they're great. I think Coach Stefanski does a great job. But Justin will learn from this. The other part of this, too, is with Andy and Nick, like the feedback that they're giving him along with Flip and Bill in that room, all of us together, like there's so many little things in that game that happened that even though big picture, all the ugly stats and the bad loss, all that said, the beautiful part of all of that is that, and it's not, the part of all that is the fact that there's about probably 4 or 5 things in there that from the quarterback perspective he can learn from. And they're little things that maybe he hasn't gone through before, even in preseason. So he's taking those and he's stacking those up and he's going to use those so that the next time he can get better. And so it's, unfortunately, to lose like that is hard. You'd rather win and go through those, but he's always growing.
Not every team has a Clowney or a Garrett, but did that performance, did that expose some vulnerability on the line that other teams can take advantage of, that you have to make, not major changes, but have to significantly address, as opposed to just saying, well, it was one bad day, we'll be better the next time?
I think that Clowney and not just Clowney and Miles, but the rest of the guys on that defensive line, they do a great job, and there's a reason why they are who they are across the league, how people view them on the edge, along with 55 McKinley. And but at the same point in time, when we have Juan Castillo coaching our offensive line and Donnie Raiola and our tackles that we have with Jason Peters, the experience that he's had, and being able to have these guys talk through their technique and fundamentals and then have us help them. No, I think that for us, what we need to do is make sure that, hey, on your end, in certain plays, you can be a little bit better, but really on our end too, we can help you. And that's going to be what we need to do, not just with all the chips and the thumps and helping out with the edge, with a running back or a tight end, but other ways too.
But do protection issues factor into the decision whether it's Justin or Andy?
No.
Because you don't want to get your quarterback in the future.
Matt, with the benefit of hindsight, when you look back to practice last week, do you look back now and see if there was anything that gave you a sign that things might not have gone well? And if so, is there any change, and even if not, are you changing anything with how you guys run practice the next couple of days?
So, no, I think for us, as we went through it, it was our first time going through the mechanics of Justin day by day and just going out there and getting all the first team reps. And because he was so used to the first 2 weeks of getting all the look team, and now he's getting all the first team reps and just kind of going through that dynamic. So I felt like, for us going through those practices, he definitely got better each day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By Friday, we felt pretty good with where he was at. There's some things that, again, that we and I have learned to going through this process that we can help him and us out with different things. But at the same time, no, I think, that's what was expected in practice.
You talk about blocking out the noise.
Yeah.
In real life, that can be easier said than done.
Yeah.
In the last 3 days, a lot of that noise has been directed personally at you. I'm just curious, have you been able to block it out? Is it hard? What's your response to all of it?
Yeah. So you understand that it's what Brad was saying. Does it take away from any of the stuff you're doing? We're so dug into the game planning and so entrenched into what's going on that you don't know, like all the social media world or the things that are said or whatever's on TV. You don't see it. But what you do is you get a text message from somebody that says, hey, man, we got your back. This is why, because of what's going on. But it also comes with the territory, right? And in the city of Chicago, where we are, and the scenario that was built up and where we were last week, like, you understand it. And do you like it? No. But the competitor in you accepts it. And what my job is now is to help be the greatest leader I can possibly be for these players, right? From the moment they walk back in after that game and we lick our wounds, right? All of us. Be the best leader I can be to get them ready for Detroit so that we can get back on track. If I let the other distractions take away from anything, then that's taken away from them. And I won't do that. And I got a hell of a support system around me between family and friends. And the amount of support that's come into me from people that are outsiders that don't need to do it is unbelievable. And that's like, that gets you going a little bit. And then you're out there with your players, you're with your coaches, and you see how they are, and you have these healthy conversations, and you realize, like, man, let's go. Let's pick it back up and go. Understand everything. But, you know, it's time to fight. It's time to fight. And when you fight, you do it together, and you understand it, and then you go do everything you can to be the best for the Bears. That's it. It's you keep it real super simple.
And just,
I know you have a lot to worry about on the football field, but the buzz among Bears fans today is the potential for the team taking another step toward moving to Arlington Heights. Just wondering, what are your thoughts about such a move? And when you go to new stadiums, do you take a moment to take a look around and kind of see what that would be like?
Yeah, so obviously, kind of to what everything we've been talking about, we have, you know, I'm so dug into that whatever is going on and everything on the outside with that, you know, that would be more for Ted Phillips, but that's not something that I'm so entrenched in this game plan right now that that's not something where I'm at.
What about when you go to a stadium like SoFi? Do you take a moment to take?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be at I think every NFL stadium, and Cleveland was one that I was not at since I think 2011 with the Eagles. But there's a lot of cool stadiums out there, so it's that's that. Appreciate it.
Jalen, we saw you shadowing Odell Beckham Jr. last week. Can you talk about that unique challenge of just going against one guy versus kind of locking down the side of the field?
Nothing I'm not used to doing. I mean, I did it in college. I practiced it throughout camp this year. So, I mean, for me, it was just knowing what the assignment was and going out and being able to execute.
Jalen, when you go up against a guy like that, how much does it build your confidence to know that you can take on one of the top receivers?
I would definitely say it's a confidence booster, but I mean, I definitely had to have confidence going into that matchup, and just confident in my ability, confident in what I can do. And that was pretty much my thing, just really talking to myself throughout the week, the night before, the morning of, really just preparing my mind to just be in the right state. 'Cause I mean, it's Odell Beckham at the end of the day, so he's going to make some plays, but really just being able to battle and fight back and just really keep going at him each and every play.
How difficult is it to identify and react to a back shoulder throw?
Very difficult. I mean, it's something that you see happening, but you can't react. I mean, there's nothing you can do besides clap it and keep playing.
Do you learn? Is there anything to learn by when teams pull it off? Like any keys or anything? I mean, is that like the trickiest thing for a cornerback these days?
For sure, because I mean, it's easy to tell somebody, okay, look the other way. But if I look the other way and the ball's thrown deep and now he's running past me, now it's a touchdown. Now it's like, oh, you should have looked the other way. So I mean, everybody always has answers looking from the couch. I mean, at the end of the day, all the corners know there's pretty much no right answer when the quarterback throws the ball the opposite of where you're thinking it's going to go. So I mean, it's really just something that you accept as a DB and you keep playing.
Do you think that your defense has put together back-to-back strong games, or how would you characterize?
How would I characterize it? I would say that we had a pretty solid performance both games. I just don't think that we had the finish that we wanted to in each game. I mean, I feel like the Bengals shouldn't have put a point up on the board, and we ended up giving 2 late touchdowns up. And then even the Browns, I mean, we had a blown coverage in the first half right before halftime, and then at the end, we just kind of got tired. We started missing tackles. They started really imposing their will in the run game. But, I mean, we definitely had good performances. We just got to finish a lot better in the fourth quarters.
When the offense,
I was gonna say, just being out there too long, is that why you guys tire towards the end, as you said?
I mean, that's easy to say. I mean, honestly, it's just really being locked in and being focused and keeping that same hunger and drive throughout the game. But, I mean, any opportunity we get to be out there is an opportunity to make a play. So, I mean, we're never complaining about going out there because we all want to make plays.
the struggles the offense had on Sunday put Matt Nagy in as a target, like a lot of people are calling for his job and criticizing his approach. Why do you guys as a team still believe in him as your leader?
I mean, because he's our leader. At the end of the day, that wouldn't be, to me, healthy, or that wouldn't be solving the problem to fight against him, to resist and say all these different things. I mean, as long as he's our leader, we're going to fight for him and we're going to keep playing. And at the end of the day, the game's about the players as well. So, I mean, giving up on him is somewhat giving up on the team and giving up on the players. I mean, for us and for me individually, I would say I'm riding for the team, riding for the players, and whoever's a part of this organization is who I'm going to play for.
You faced Jared Goff last year in this defense. Your teammates have faced him the 2 years before that as well. What does he kind of present to you guys defensively?
Definitely a decisive guy when it comes to being able to read defenses. He knows where he wants to go with the ball, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing for him as well. We definitely know that he has his tendencies of turning the ball over. So, I mean, definitely for us, we want to be able to take advantage of that and just kind of limit his big plays as best as we can and turn the ball over.
You had a lot of pass deflections in 3 weeks and you're tied for second in the NFL. What's the key to that, and what have you found yourself growing in that and being in the right positions at the right time, or if some of them just you are in the right place at the right time?
I actually don't like being at the top of pass deflections. I'd rather be at the top in interceptions. I mean, my answer to that is get more interceptions because, I mean, the ball is definitely going to come as long as I'm playing at the level that I'm playing at and covering God's best receivers. So, I mean, the ball is definitely going to come. So I want to limit the pass deflections and get more interceptions.
Did you get the interception ball back? I think last time we talked to you, you didn't have it.
Oh yeah, I'm getting it cut. I'm getting it painted and customized right now. So it's in the works.
Coach Nagy said that Danny Trevathan's coming off injured reserve. As a young player in this league, what's it like having him as a teammate and as the vocal leader on this defense?
I mean, he's definitely somebody that I'm comfortable with. That was who our leader was when I first came in. So, I mean, just having him back, having his presence back, and, I mean, we talk in the locker room and things like that, and it's just kind of comfort that we get having our leader back, having his presence back on the field. So, I mean, for us, it's definitely getting back where we left off at before he left us. So, I mean, it's really no different. Just really getting back to attacking with him on the field.
Jalen, you've seen Justin mature and grow just over these past few months. How do you think he'll respond to a struggling first starting appearance?
I think he'll bounce back well, and I feel like we all believe that. Even everybody in this room, I feel like we know the type of person that Justin is, the way he looks at football, his competitive nature. So, I mean, for us, there's no hesitation that he's going to keep bouncing back and keep fighting for everything that he wants, for sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Jalen.
pretty soon in your first game?
We kind of knew what was going on with preseason. I knew I was going to be missing the first 2 games coming in, so I kind of prepared myself for it. But it was definitely great to get out there and get a sack and go out there and play with my teammates.
Do you feel like you just picked up where you left off? Did you feel like it hurt you being away from practice?
I feel like I picked up where I left off. If anything, it made me more hungry to want to get back out there and go compete with my brothers.
Is there anything to having fresher legs? I know it's only 2 games, but you know, you're fresh. A couple guys have played a couple games. Did you feel like that gave you any edge?
I mean, you could say that. I just know that I was preparing myself to be ready, so I was ready for anything that they threw at me.
What has the attitude been like the last 2 days? Obviously, on the offensive side, there's different problems, but does it feel like an important week for you guys?
Every week is important. It's a division opponent coming up this week, but every week is important. You know, sometimes the offense is going to have to dig us out of a hole, and sometimes we're going to have to dig them out of a hole. But together, we got to play together as a team. So, more with a finger pointing, we just have to come in, go to work, and be ready to go out there and play on Sunday.
Facing a quarterback, Sundu takes a lot of chances and risks with his passes. That kind of get you guys excited? You get your eyes open up a little bit as a defense? Facing a quarterback who takes a lot of chances with his passes, does that get you guys excited or optimistic going into Sunday?
I mean, we're just excited to get out there and play. Me personally, I'm excited to get out there any chance I can. And I mean, I guess with the different quarterbacks, it will give us excitement to go out there and play against them.
They always say that takeaways come in bunches, but it seems like it's the same thing with sacks. What's it like in the huddle when you guys are getting to the quarterback? Is it kind of like a competitive thing among yourselves, or what's that like?
Yeah, it's a little competitive. You know, it's no fun if your friends can't get none. So it's kind of like having a party at the quarterback. So everybody's out there getting a piece of it. It's fun.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
What's up, Emma?
How you doing?
Hakeem, what's been the tenor, I guess, with the team and your back towards this week and just kind of trying to get past what happened Sunday?
Just kind of gotta, what's been the tenor? You gotta shake it off. You gotta shake it off, as frustrating as it may be. You know, things not going your way. You just gotta shake it off. I mean, going into my, this being my 10th year, I've had, experiences where, something didn't feel right, and it was frustrating and it was tough. But those games keep coming, and if you get caught up in it, you'll get run over again.
And Aggie said that he had a lot of good conversations with coaches and players and things like that. Did you guys get a chance to air it out, so to speak?
Things have been happening so fast around here. We really haven't had time to, take a breath and just wallow, in it. You want to move forward. So, we review the tape and we make our adjustments and go from there. There's a lot of ways to do things in the NFL, right? And, I think that it's been proven that this is probably the best way, to shake that last loss off and just run to the next week, especially this early in the season. Sorry.
Your entire room seems to be playing really well right now, the whole D-line. What's that like to go through a game where you guys are playing pretty well, your group, but almost everything else around the game is not going well and you lose pretty handily? Just what's that like?
I would say that we have problems in every area, that we have to shore up and fix. I think that on times it may seem that as you said that our room is perfect. It's not. We have things that we need to fix. I have things that I need to fix personally. So I would say that it's put your hard hat on, go to work type of situation. We have to fix a lot of things.
In your time with Coach Nagy, have you come to appreciate kind of the optimistic, glass half full kind of view that he's able to take even after tough losses going into that next week?
Is it tough to accept the glass half full?
No. Have you come to appreciate kind of Coach Nagy and having that glass half full kind of mentality that he has?
Yeah, I think looking at a situation in the most positive, optimistic way is important, not just for football, but for life. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that.
Is the criticism of him fair?
Criticism.
Of Nagy, fair?
We read all types of things on social media. I think that there's always a strong opinion about, who should be where and what somebody should be doing. But we have to handle all these things in-house, We acknowledge them and we see them, as players. But our focus is to play good football. Getting caught up in that is going to take time away from us that we can't afford.
Does it wear on you at all having seeing those same things? And I feel like we're asking the same questions, having the same conversation for like 3 years now.
That's a tough one. I don't have an answer. I truly don't have an answer.
You've been here long enough to see this thing go sideways sometimes. What have you learned from your experience here that informs how you want to push forward and try and work through what feels like a low point right now?
I've learned to control my box. I've learned that, as much as you can get distracted by all the things happening around you, if you shore up your box, you shore up your area, you take care of your responsibilities, things start going right. And when things don't go right, you can still say that, you're putting your best foot forward. That's one of the things I've learned.
Jalen Johnson said that he's overall happy with the way the defense has played the last 2 games, except towards the ends of games when you guys have gotten tired. Is there any way to guard against that, even though you guys have been on the field so much?
I think that as a defensive player, you go through those situations, and this is kind of tying into what he said, honestly. You gotta control your box in that situation, right? And I think as a defense, there's not a point in the game where you want to accept giving up points. Whether it's the beginning, the end, the middle, halftime, water break. You don't want to give up any points. I think that in some of the ebbs and flows of the game, I think that those things have happened we have gotten scored on late. We have gotten scored on towards the end of a half or towards the end of a game, and things that you don't want to give up, and things that if we didn't give up, we would be in a better situation overall.
Akeem, with Eddie Goldman out, what did Tonga give you at the nose?
Oh man, I really like Tonga. I really like the way he plays. He's I call him box built. You know what I mean? He's just a little bit shorter, a little bit stockier, but impossible to move. I think he plays with great athleticism. For his stature, being a heavier guy like myself, I think that he's very intuitive. I think that he's willing to listen and learn. I really appreciate how he's approached his rookie season. So I'm very high on him.
You mentioned your 10th year in the league. It's also Danny's 10th year in the league. What do you think it means to him getting healthier now and getting close to returning? And he seemed to indicate like a month ago that being in his 10th year means a lot to him. I think that being,
number one, I don't want to speak about his injuries and what he has going on, but I will speak to growing in the game. I think that he has developed an appreciation for the game like I have, and has enjoyed his run, especially being here in Chicago. And I think that he wants to come out and play his best football when that time comes. So I look forward to him excelling.
I know you don't want to speak about injuries, but how's Eddie Goldman doing? Is he frustrated just from your personal interactions with him?
As you guys probably know, Eddie's not very much of a talkative person, so he tends to just go about his business and do his work. I think that when his time comes to play, kind of like Danny, he'll be ready. I think getting to watch him in training camp was he looked exceptional. He looked like Eddie Goldman, one of the best defensive nose tackles in the game. Something about watching Eddie, you just love to watch his technique. If you're a D-line enthusiast, because he just moves so naturally into the spots that he needs to be in, and he's very strong when he gets there. And although he doesn't talk a lot, when the time comes for him to make some noise in the middle of a game, he will be there for you. So I appreciate him and respect his play and a person, so.
Hey, Akeem, what about you helping with the offense on Sunday? You're one carry in your career. We know what happened.
Oh, 1 for 1, man. You can't beat those stats. I'm open to everything.
All right, thanks, Akeem.